Hey everyone, so this is part one of seven where we'll be talking about and going over the NASM certification exam. I don't know how far you guys got into it yet, but if you go on the NASM website, they offer four different packages. And the first one, the self-study, starts off at about $600 and it goes as high as $1,600. That's the all-inclusive package. If you go on YouTube, a lot of people say, hey, you don't need to get the expensive ones. Self-study is enough. I mean, I used a self-study and, I passed it on my first try, but everyone's different, right? Everyone studies differently, works differently, and maybe some of us, you guys won't like having to create your own study schedule and hold yourself accountable, so whatever you know yourself best, so whatever you think works best for you. But for this series, it's just going to be assuming that you're picking the self-study, and I'm going to recommend and make suggestions on how to study for the test just all on your own. All right, so first things first, the requirements. NASM requires that everyone has a GED or high school diploma. And you know what? How do they even check? All right. So for instance, the second requirement is that you need a CPR certificate. I got mine through American Red Cross. All you have to do is just do a quick Google search, find a place close by that offers a class, take it, done, easy. And so on the test day, they'll ask for the certificate, but I mean, they didn't ask for any diploma or GED. I don't even know how they would check, but anyway, those are the two requirements, okay? The test center, you can get more information on that on the NASM website. They have a link where you can search for the nearest center, and then you can actually schedule the day and time of when you want to take the test. Actual test is 120 questions. Out of the 120, 20 of them are pilot. So what that means is those 20 questions are not going to be used to score against you or for you. I think what they use is to possibly use for future exams. But for the 100 remaining questions, you need to get 70 to pass the test. You'll have no way of knowing which ones are pilot questions and which ones are the legit questions that they're going to score. So yeah, you obviously are going to answer every question, right? And all this information can be found in the candidate handbook. Give yourselves about 6 weeks. 6 weeks to dedicate to studying for this test. That approximately gives you about a chapter a day of reading. I highly suggest that you read the entire book. Some chapters take longer than others, and having 6 weeks, it gives you time to, just take a break from studying. Let's say you have to go away on a weekend trip or something, just 6 weeks gives you some cushion to play around with. This is the book, sixth edition. I mean, it's pretty thick, a lot of material in here. But before I talk about reading the book, what I would do if I had to study it all over again is actually read these study guides that they give you online. There's a chapter review for each chapter and a study guide that breaks it up into 6 different domains. I'll talk about the domains a little more later, but essentially you can think of these as cliff notes to the book. And when I started studying for this, I just jumped right into the book, right? But there's so much to read. You don't know what's important. You don't know what you need to focus on, and so it's a little overwhelming. So reading this highlights key topics. So if you read this first and then read the book, you'll kind of see and figure out, oh, this is actually important. Whereas there's other information where maybe not so much. But yeah, so read the Cliff Notes first. There's two different sets before you read the book. And so when you do read the book, it's a lot easier to follow. Okay, so we read the chapter reviews and the study guide. Okay, now after we did that, we're going to read the book. There's 20 chapters, and after each chapter, you go online and there's an online quiz. So read the chapter and do the online quiz. Read the chapter, do the online quiz. And let's see, what else? Okay, so let's say, all right, we read all the chapters, we did all the quizzes. Then what I would do next is do the domain quizzes. Now, NASM breaks the entire book up into 6 different groups, right? So the different chapters, multiple chapters, into 6 specific groups, and they call them domains, right? And that study guide is a summary of the 6 different domains on top of the individual chapter reviews, right? So there's 2 different sets of Cliff Notes. When you go online and you go into the part where they have the domains, they have specific domain quizzes. So there's 6 domains, so 6 quizzes. Take those quizzes. And then, all right, so after doing that, you're about a month in. Okay, you're about a month in, and at about that month milestone, you have read both of the Cliff Notes, both of the study guides, the chapter review. You read every chapter, and you did every chapter quiz, and you've also done the 6 domain quizzes. Then you should probably have a pretty good idea of what you're reading now and what you're studying. What I would recommend to do at this point is to go back and read those study guides and the chapter reviews again, for the second time, right? Because the first time you read it was about a month ago. And now when you go back and read those 2 sets after reading the book, everything just becomes so much more clear. Things start to connect. You talk about different muscles and different positions and overactive, underactive, and metabolism. It's a lot of information, but once you do that, everything starts to make sense and come together. Right? And then that's when you conceptualize stuff, and then it helps you, once you're able to conceptualize and actually understand the principles, it's a lot easier to memorize. And this test is all about memorizing. Okay, so now we've read both of the Cliff Notes a second time. Then now I would go back and redo the chapter quizzes. Yeah, it's only 20, right? And it helps out a lot. It refreshes your memory of what chapter 2 was or chapter 5 was after going through 20 different chapters. And it helps out a lot. But it's up to you. Like I said, try to cover all your angles and try to have as much practice as possible, right? Because a lot of this passing the exam is even just understanding how the questions are asked, how they're phrased, and how to kind of read and understand what they're actually asking for. So the more practice, the better. Okay, last 2 steps. Well, no, there's 3 more actually, but this next one is taking the knowledge check test. It's like a practice exam, okay? And then after you do that, take the final practice exam. Yeah, so there's 2 different exams that you can take for practice. After you do that, okay, so a lot of people, if you've watched a lot of other YouTubes, they talk about Pocket Pro. Pocket Pro is an app where you can download. It's free, but they give you a lot of sample questions, a lot of practice questions. And then if you pay $30, yeah, I think it's $30, you get a total of like 800 questions, right? And some people say, man, Pocket Pro helped them so much. They would not have passed the test. They see the same questions from Pocket Pro on the actual exam. I don't really feel that way, but you know, having used Pocket Pro and answered and worked through their questions, mm, I would still do it, right? Just to cover all your angles, just cover all your bases, and it just gives you more practice, right? And more practice is better. Okay, that's about it. That's gonna take you about 6 weeks, right, of dedicated focus, studying, and having an intent and purpose, right? So in summary, I'll go over step by step from what you should do. Like 9 different steps here, and you have to. I would recommend doing it in this order, all right? So number one, read both of the study guides first, the Cliff Notes. Read the book, each chapter, do every chapter quiz after reading each chapter. Then go back and read the 2 sets of Cliff Notes again, the 2 study guides and the chapter reviews. Go back and do all the chapter quizzes one more time. Then jump into the domain quizzes. There's 6 of those. Do the knowledge check test. Then the final exam practice, the practice test. And then Pocket Pro, and by that time, after you've done all those, you should be pretty ready to take the test. Yeah, that's all I have, at least for this video, this part. I mentioned earlier that I'm going to be making 6 more, and each of the 6 videos is going to be domain specific. So I'm going to dive into, domain 1, go over the important topics there, and things that are, most likely might have the higher chance of being on the test, right? And yeah, so that those videos will be coming out shortly, but in the meantime, feel free to hit me up, message me if you have any additional questions, or if you're ready to go, just go and knock it out. Good luck.